tariffs have always been there. But the problem is imposing of higher tariffs by Donald Trump.
So all the people who bought the futures contracts of crude sold them. So the price crashed. That is when Trump might have got the OPEC plus. His friend Russia is also there. Our friend also.
No wonder he said the people are getting yippee. And that's why he put it a pause, because the bonds were suddenly fluctuating.
See, certainly America is redefining herself now. There's no doubt about it. After this tariff policy of Trump, how it's going to unfold, nobody knows.
Strong, diversified, resilient supply chains. And suddenly this comes. Wham! What happens now?
All that is populistic sentiment, but less than universal gains.
We in a phase of trade war. I'm not using the word Cold War yet, but trade war.
Germany may go for a nuclear weapon. Germany is breaking its debt ceiling limit to spend more, borrow more, spend more on defense particularly.
But amongst this whole chaos, there is an opportunity for India to work towards the Viksit Bharat 2047 vision.
One, they are putting more faith into Russian policy towards Ukraine, and are asking Europe, you do what you like about defending Ukraine. We are not interested. We are this side of the ocean.
External Affairs Minister has said that we will not be bullied into a deal. Hello and namaste. My name is Dr. Dipaneta and I welcome you to this podcast. Today I am in conversation with SRIRAM Sir. SRIRAM Sir doesn't really require an introduction. He is well known and well loved by students and aspirants across the spectrum. He has guided, mentored so many of the top rankers of the UPSC, CSE, and he has written so much on Indian economy, which we have all referred to and have fallen in love with the subject. Today, we are going to talk to you all about a very relevant topic. 2nd April 2025, the day US President Donald Trump called it the Liberation Day. Many American newspaper outlets called it the day that America lost its hegemony, while some said that America has reversed decades of globalization. While few actually argued that this is good news for America because this is what is going to make America great again. So much of chaos, so much of ideas, thoughts, and analysis floating around. It is time we break this down. It is time we understand the nitty-gritty of the issue. And this is what we are going to do in today's conversation with SRIRAM Sir. We are going to understand the building blocks, the foundation of this argument, and how it impacts India in this entire chaos that is going on today. Sir, the first question is, what are tariffs and what is its role in international order?
See, every nation does business with the rest of the world. No nation is self-sufficient. Nations can be self-reliant. Presently, we are Atmanirbhar. And under Nehru, we had self-reliance. If you recall, in the 5-year plans, the macro goals, all 5-year plans had 4 macro goals. One of them was, for a long while, self-reliance. Whatever you have, try and make do with that. Whatever you don't have but critically need, import. That's how we started. So tariff is a tax. Tariff is a general term. Donald Trump thinks it is the most beautiful word, but that's his subjectivity. Otherwise, tariff is a general term. You check into a hotel, ask for tariff. So tariff, tax, duty, whatever you like, they're all synonymous. So a nation, when it imports, it charges a certain tax, a certain rate of tax. That's called the tariff rate. You call that customs duty. So you may have free trade, that is, don't charge at all. Or you may not allow the import, that is embargo. But in between lies a multiplicity of rates. That is what is called tariff rate. So tariff is the rate of taxation on incoming goods, and occasionally we also tax exports because we don't want them to be exported. We want them inside our market so that our consumers are more comfortable and prices stabilize for those goods. For example, the Maharashtra Lasargaon wholesale onion market, they wanted to export, but the government said you have to pay some duty if you want to export because the people in the country need the same onions more. So tariff is a rate that you charge on incoming goods. Yeah, that's tariff.
So, how does a country decide on what kind of tariff or what rate of tariffs that they would impose on different items? Because when we're talking about it, tariffs have always been there. But the problem is imposing of higher tariffs by Donald Trump. So, how does a country decide on this?
It decides on the basis of the need, how essential it is. For example, pulses you wanted. So zero duty on the import of pulses because we are not producing enough pulses. So, and also because price stability is important, it's a staple, and so we require to have non-inflationary availability of pulses. So zero duty on pulses. Harley Davidson, the motorcycle which Trump loves, we used to have 100% tariff because that's a luxury good. The person who wants to ride a Harley will definitely be able to pay 100% duty on that. So Harley Davidson was 100, but Trump came and he was roaring from that side, and we brought it down to 50, then we brought it down to 40 and 30. Depending upon the parameters of the motorcycle, it's between 30 and 40. So the essential needs we import at zero duty, 5%, 3%. And those which are considered luxury, Trump wants his cars to be available here. And today we have 100%, 150% on the luxury cars. But we have certain goods we don't import at all. We don't import at all. For example, the dairy stuff from America, we don't import because the cows there are fed blood meal. The meal taken from blood are fed to cows, and the milk of those cows and the milk products of those cows, why will we import? They are saying it's not scientific, but we are saying it's not in our tradition to import the dairy products from your country for this reason. So some we don't import at all, some the charge is very high, some it could be zero duty. So tariff rates are fixed according to multiplicity of factors.
So, in this slide, then, when we see the first term and second term, charging high tariffs or putting the high tariffs has been always a demand of Donald Trump. Initially, he had put it on washing machines. He was, as you said, he was asking India to lower the tariffs on Harley Davidson. And this time around, he just did not, negotiate. He just wants high tariffs. So what made him do so?
See, he is driven by a certain philosophy. A cocktail of factors influence him. And even after exhausting the list of factors that we can speculate, we still don't know why he is doing what he is doing. But let's say you talked in your introduction about making America great again. So he thinks America has been ripped off. He keeps saying America has been ripped off, pillaged, plundered, looted. He goes on and on. Why does he say so? He thinks there was a phenomenon called China shock in the mid-90s, lasting for about a decade and a half, where the manufacturing jobs, be it textiles or automotives or electronics or whatever else you have in your mind, all those manufacturing jobs have moved to China because China, the labor costs were very low those days and land was cheap and China gave them red carpet, and so they thought to be competent in the global market, you had to make them cheap. Good, of course, you make, but cheap also you have to make so that you can capture the global market. And most of them are exported to America also. So the factories were shut and the jobs moved to China, and those factories are rusting. Therefore, you call it the Rust Belt of America, Detroit, etc., etc. And those blue-collar workers moved on. After all, American economy was booming till Trump came. There's the cover of Economist magazine in the month of October where they have said that American economy is the envy of the world, be it growth or price stability at that point. At one point, the prices were 9%, which is almost outside history, but they came down to about 3-4% or even less. So price stability was there, growth was there, employment was there, the dollar was doing well, bonds were doing well, stocks were doing well. So it is hunky-dory for America. But Trump taps on a mass fear that there is in America. There is a lot of sources of mass fear. One of them is that the jobs move to China. A lot of people are coming to America. They are coming after our jobs. And those blue-collar workers are very nostalgic about the jobs they lost and the factories and all that. He is playing on that. He is telling them, don't worry, vote for me. I'll protect American economy. I'll not allow the deindustrialization, which China shock. I will ensure that nobody exports to us. Everyone will come and make in America. And that will create a lot of goods and services here in America. Your jobs are protected forever and ever. And there will be many, many more jobs created. So the fears that you have, they should be discarded. This is a classical case of populism. Populism is addressing the popular need, the sentiment, not rationally, but seemingly rationally, assuring them emotionally. Is it going to create jobs? Nobody thinks so. Even if a lot of investment goes into America in the long term, because of all these policies that Trump is following, robotification will make sure that no jobs are created. It's all robots, otherwise it is not cost competitive to make in America. Who can make in America at the wage rate which is going on there? And he has to protect the worker. He'll increase the wage also. But robots will ensure that production is cost effective. Taxes he can handle, but wages he can't handle. Somebody investing in America, if he is told, don't, you give him so much of salary, that is wage, then who will invest in America? You are asking people to come and invest in America, make America great again. For that, you have to give them the right sort of a climate. And that necessarily has to be robotification. So, yes, he is telling them, I'm doing all that I can to make sure that no jobs are lost, more jobs are created, but technology may not allow him, assuming that he is very sincere, to redeem his promise to the blue collar.
So this brings me to actually a question about populism. When we start making policies based on populism, it really cannot last, and it doesn't give us the returns that we have promised the people. In this case also, it seems that he really jumped and he did not know how deep the water was. The way it has been playing out, the freeze and everything, it does seem that he did not really think, or planned properly the way it was carried out. But let us come back to the idea of mercantilism. Is it returning because of this?
See, Trump has always been mercantilist. And to go back to what you said a minute back, he jumped, he didn't know the depth of the waters. He didn't jump, he pushed America into waters without knowing the depth. He is outside the waters. So, mercantilist is he? He's always been. So, who is a mercantilist? You please recall, from 16th to 18th century, Britain was mercantilist. That is, I will export and I will import minimally. The raw material I'll import and I'll add value, I will export. I'll earn a lot of gold and silver. Keeping that as the monetary base, I will start printing. With that printed money, I'll industrialize my economy. I'll produce more goods and services and I'll export them. And I will once again import minimally. So I should always have trade surplus. That is classical mercantilist. But in the world today, even then, what did Ricardo say? Specialization ensures that the production process is efficient and cost effective. You produce what you are best at. So yes, I can produce the best goods, but that doesn't mean that I should produce. Why? Because whoever should produce should have the least opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what? There is a software engineer in India. How much does it cost me to hire him? 50,000. There is a software engineer in America. How much does it cost American company to hire him? About 10 times more. So the opportunity cost in India is lower, much lower. Therefore, we are a global leader in computer services. So opportunity cost is what decides who produces what. China is a manufacturer, factory of the world. So we don't manufacture so much because our core competence lies in services. Not that we are abandoning manufacturing. All your Make in India, PLI, etc. are about manufacturing. Nehru-Mahalanobis model was about manufacture, and it's a glorious success. So we do manufacture, but our core competence lies in
services.
Yeah, human capital driven services. So Ricardo said, look at the opportunity cost, the less it is, the more you should be producing the good or service. China, manufacturing. And we are into services. So mercantilist is wrong because he wants to produce everything thinking that he'll export all that and import little and always run a trade surplus. That is self-defeating. And which is exactly what it's possible. Trump is a believer in mercantilist axiom that trade surplus is the only way to go. But how an American president in 2016 or 2016, he thinks so and continues to think so in 2025 and is set on the course. How it is possible, not even an elementary school student of economics can possibly side with him. He can understand how irrational it is. That's what makes me believe that sometime back the Nobel in economics went to a behavioral economist who believed that all behavior, most of it is irrational.
When I was reading about Donald Trump's first presidency, and I came across this increase of tariff on the refrigerators and washing machines. So interestingly, he said that there has been an increase in jobs because he has hiked up the tariffs on it. The data says that there have been 1,800 new jobs that have been created by Samsung and LG by opening up their service stations and assembly lines in America. But because the tariffs paid by the company has been passed to the consumers in America, the American consumers are ending up paying far more from their pocket, which is negating the job creation. So in this light, it has already been experimented. Do you think this is going to continue?
You mean the mercantilist orientation of his tariff policy?
Yes, sir.
He is set on this course. He is not the one to go back. Remember one thing. He has got the legal majority of the Electoral College. He has got the popular majority of the voters of America. He's got a Congress which is fully on his side and they also piggybacked on him. And a Supreme Court which is conservative and quite a bit believes along with him. So he literally has America in his pocket. He does not have to be rational at all.
The numbers are against him. The industrial lobbies are against him.
They're not against him. They are trying to drive some sense into him. But they don't know him fully yet because he is hardly there for 80 days yet now. So what is his position? This is the opening round. Is it a policy or is it just pressure for a policy which we don't know yet? The negotiating strategy. He's got 90-day pause. Everyone is going there. He is himself saying they are coming after me, sir, 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 and all that. So we are also furiously into negotiations to drive a deal that is for mutual benefit. Vietnam, Indonesia and everyone else is also there. So 90 days are there for negotiation. What will be the final shape of the tariff structure of America towards the 60 countries? Canada, Mexico, and of course, will he stick with the baseline tariff of 10% for all the 180 countries? Nothing is known yet. We have seen the preliminary details of his philosophy, his policy, but the actual shape they're going to take in about 3-4 months' time. We have to wait and see.
So in this, again, from this argument, let me ask you about what is reciprocal and retaliatory tariffs, because this is the words that the countries like China are using. So what is the difference between it and what is the core meaning of these words?
100 years back, America had the Reciprocal Tariff Act. What they basically believed, and this is very popular with the Republicans in America, Trump belongs to them, or Republicans belong to Trump, we don't know. So either way, they say that if you are imposing on me 0%, I will also reciprocate with 0. If you are 50, I'm 50, you are 100, 100. So reciprocal tariff is matching the rate of the other country. For example, India's average tariff rate is about 17%. And Trump believes that our average customs duty towards America for our imports from America. Remember, we import about, say, 20, 30 billion, $40 billion of goods, and we also import about 35, $40 billion of services. And the rate we apply, according to Trump, which is 100% flawed, is about 50% plus. And he says, I'll also match that with 50. So you are imposing 50. I'm not imposing 50. He's got a very voodoo formula again. Your trade deficit with the other country, a total trade or trade deficit divided by something, he's got a formula. And that formula is applied, you heard of it, you have seen it, you have enjoyed it. There's a tariff imposed on an island which has only penguins, and they have no trade with America. So reciprocal is matching tariff. Matching tariff, that is to begin with. So he has imposed a reciprocal tariff of 26 on India. So about 120 trade negotiators from America had landed in India because we have a trade with America $190 billion, goods and services. And we run surplus on both goods and services. On goods, we have $40 billion surplus. And on services, we have $10 billion surplus. We have $50 billion surplus with America. So they've come because India is a good friend of theirs. Nuclear energy, strategy, critical minerals, space and whatnot. A little bit of strategic cooperation also. Whether it's live or dead under Trump, we don't know. You see, it was there till the other day, till Biden lasted. So the point remains, that is the reciprocal tariff. Is it a sensible policy? Definitely not. 100% not. I'll come back to that, when the occasion demands. Retaliatory is, so reciprocal tariff Trump imposed on 60 countries. One of them being us, EU, China also. China is a separate planet. That's another thing. So we said, let's talk. Our Honorable PM went there and sat with him and told him, we are good friends, don't think of treating us like others and so on. On EU reciprocal tariff, 20%. So some of them, like Canada, hit back. Retaliatory. EU got a blueprint for hitting back, tit for tat. But pause made them pause again. Retaliate means, you tit for tat. 145 on China, 125 from China. So retaliate in the same coin because you don't want to be seen as cowards. There is this game of chicken. Two cars are heading towards each other. You know it.
Yeah, game theory, sir. Right.
And if they proceeded, there'll be a collision. If one of them swerved, he is a chicken, he is a coward. Both of them swerved, the disaster is avoided. Now, these are the retaliatory tariffs, and the game of chicken may not actually be playing out because, gone are the days of those Thucydides moments and all. We'll get back there. So that's retaliatory, yeah.
Because of the retaliatory tactics going on, especially by China, and saying that Global South should come together to fight against this economic bullying, are we in a phase of trade war? I'm not using the word Cold War yet, but trade war.
Trade has many aspects. Tariff is one, and you are into tariff war so far. So far, what you are seeing is tariff war. Is this war or is this saber rattling? What is this? All of them have kicked in. The 145 on China kicked in, and 125 from China might have kicked in. Canada kicked in. Aluminium, steel kicked in. Automotive parts, and the automobiles kicked in. Some of them kicked in, but Trump is such a fickle that he could retrace also. So this is too early to talk about what's unfolding, but the fact remains, what looks like a war, tariff war, seems to have been triggered. When will it become trade war? Trade is not just about tariff. Trade is about quantitative restrictions. Trade is about intellectual property. Trade is about investment also. So a lot of things make up trade. That's why WTO has such a comprehensive coverage. So on all those matters, have we got the war going? TikTok confiscation. They have not confiscated yet, Trump has been giving them lifelines by a few months. The second lifeline working till June, valued at $50 billion. The TikTok USA, and America is demanding that TikTok USA should be handed over to a majority equity holder of America. Yes, that's also a part of the whole trade war, isn't it? So yes, the trade war, call it tariff war, commercial war, whatever you like to call, they're all intertwined. But what's triggered just now is tariff war for sure towards China. Yeah.
So, one of the reasons that Donald Trump had said that he's going to put in high tariffs is trade deficit, that, America cannot continue to be in trade deficit across the world. Wanted to show America's economic power and, prowess, I would say. In that light, what is trade deficit and why is it that an hegemon is in trade deficit?
So that's a very interesting story. I would like to dwell on it for a while. So trade deficit is you export less than your imports. For example, India, we have a trade deficit. Why do we have trade deficit? We export about goods, we export about $450 billion. And we import about, say, 700 something billion dollars. We have about 200 something billion dollars of trade deficit. Why? We're working very hard and we are exporting, but that's a very competitive field. But import we must. Gold we have to import, oil we have to import, and so many things we import. Food also, a lot of food we import, oil we import, pulses we import, and solar and so on, telecom and electrical, all that we import. So there is a trade deficit. And we are working for trade surplus. On services, we have a surplus. On goods also, we should have a surplus because we got everything that can help us export. But the next part of your question, why should a powerhouse like America, world's #1 economy, $36 trillion, exchange rate driven in the commercial field, global financial field. So why should America run a trade deficit? When you, a case like America, the deal with America was, let all your factories move to China and let them make goods and services there and let them export to you. Let them export to you. Let the whole world export to you. And you import, run $1 trillion worth of deficit. Why? Here is something Trump knows more than anyone, but he is ignoring it like as if he doesn't know. See, we are all the global reserve currency, which is the dollar. So we are all exporting. And we are paid in dollars. Most of it we are paid in dollars. Little in euro, little in yuan, little in yen, little in pound sterling. But majority of it, 60% is in dollar. So you have exported pharma. You paid for in dollar because we like dollar. Everyone loves dollar. Why? A stable, has future, had past, and they're doing everything to preserve its stability and liquidity. So pay me in dollar. After all, you worked very hard, you would love to be paid in dollar. So you have dollar. Where do you keep your dollar? So you sweated so much for the dollar, you have to ensure the dollar is safe, the capital, and also fetches you a bit of interest. Gold. Okay, gold, a little bit. There's not too much of gold in the world, so you can't keep buying gold. So you have to keep it somewhere. So look around, what's the best place for your dollars to be parked? American government bonds. So all of us are working like there is no tomorrow, sweating like there is no tomorrow, and shedding our blood like there is no tomorrow, and there is a dollar with us. We have to keep it in the safest place. Look around, American government securities. So all the dollars that America paid you, you give it back to America. And what do you get? Paper. What's the paper? American treasuries. What does America do with those dollars that, you parked your savings with them? They are your money, but they are spending it. Rates are cheap. Not today, not yesterday, but certainly till day before. Rates were cheap. Give it to consumers. They would love everything that the world makes. We export to them. and they import from us. They pay us. Where does the dollar go again? It goes to them. Chocolates, biscuits, telecom, TikTok, whatever. And not only that, the trillions of dollars worth of fiscal deficit that American government runs, who is funding? We are funding. United States Agency for International Development, about $30-40 billion you were giving every year to the poorest of the poor and the most helpless. Whose money is it? Your money, my money. A lot of it you keep back and you enjoy with that money. $1 or so of that you throw back at us like a bone, and you're cribbing about that. Yes? So this is how the reserve currency status. And how much are you paying me for the dollars I'm keeping with you in the form of buying your government securities? You're paying me peanuts, pittance. Why? Because I'm after you. Sir, keep my money. No, sir. Oh, I'll give you 2.5. I'll give you 2. I'll give you 1.5. I'll give you 1. Sir, give me nothing but keep these dollars, sir. So it's okay for them to run a trade deficit.
No wonder he said the people are getting yippee. And that's why he put in a pause, because the bonds were suddenly fluctuating.
American bonds, as we just now seen, they are the safest place to park your savings. Yes? Now, you buy the bonds because in your portfolio, a bit of Microsoft bond, a bit of American bond, a bit of a dollar, all that. Now, after the Trump tariff storm was unleashed, people didn't know what hit them. The turmoil was completely unexpected from a person who thinks he's a negotiator, he's a dealer, he'll make America great again, America fast, and all these things he was saying, and this is what he does. So they were trying to detect sense into what he was doing. For a while, they gave him the benefit of doubt. But a few days back, maybe on the 8th, see, when there is a crisis, where do you invest the money? Safest haven. American bond, American government bond. So, American government bond price is, let's say, $100, 3.5%. $100 bond, 3.5%. That's the face value, $100, 3.5%. So, if you buy the bond, if there's demand for the bond, when you trust American government and Trump, you buy, you hit everywhere else, but you won't get a hit here. So you go after means buy more and more of bond. Then the $100 bond goes for 105, 110, roughly. Which means that you are ready for 2%. What should be selling at 100, you are paying 110, and the rate is the same, but the yield is less because you are comfortable with it because of the safety. But now, the last thing, like a child is there, the mother is there. Mother is the most secure place for the child. When the child is deserting the mother while the child is still a child, that is where the cord is broken. So people started selling American securities. There's a rumor saying Japanese government, we all hold these American treasuries, Japanese government sold just to administer a shock to Trump so that he'll reverse his quote-unquote insanity. So when does the yield go up? $100, 3.5%. When the $100 thing is sold for $90, you are getting effectively 4.5%. Why is he selling at 90? Because he doesn't believe American government will be able to redeem this. So that is when even Trump had to retrace. But he didn't retrace. He only said, 90 days I'm pausing. All of you come to me. We'll negotiate. And we'll arrive at a picture where everyone is fine, particularly America, great again and all that. So when the American bond prices had crashed, in other words, the yield had shot up, that is when sense went into Trump's head because, intoxicated with the love that his constituency has for him. They think he is the ultimate global leader. They think that he's got the entire globe in his pocket. And they expect macho behavior, which is, in abundance giving it. So that is when he said 90-day pause. But before that, something happened. He, on the social media, Truth Social, gave a message. Best time to buy. After that, I was watching on the CNN and Bloomberg. You know what was in the red? Climbed up about 3,000 points on the Dow Jones. Which means what? Two Democrat senators, they were saying that Trump knew that there will be huge demand for stocks and he might have himself been one of the investors, buying and selling, short selling, all that. There is a case for insider trading.
Oh.
I've never heard of this case before, that a head of the government, head of the state is picked up on the allegation for insider trading. This struck me completely. I didn't expect this, etc., etc. But this is a side story, yeah.
Interestingly, sir, I was watching the American late night shows that come in, and most of them said that when Donald Trump had imposed the tariffs, he said these policies will never change. And the day when he was reversing, putting the 90-day pause, he said that countries are coming, countries are begging, I need to give them a chance. So basically, he reversed it in the garb of giving them a chance. In this light, sir, I wanted to ask, is trade such a zero-sum game? Is it that you are always going to win, you're always going to be positive, or is it always going to be that you have to play this kind of a bully game in this?
Trade as a zero-sum game is the belief of a mercantilist. And Trump has only paused it, suspended it. And what you will get after 90 days, what you will get in these 90 days, the uncertainty, the anxiety and the, repercussions, they'll be no less. But after 90 days, nobody is sure something saner will come. After all these negotiations, he may still say, I'm not convinced these people serves them right and I'm raising it by 10. See the way he has ratcheted up on China? Started, there was this 20 going on. After that, some 35. Suddenly it goes to 120, 75, 125, and linked to fentanyl, 145 from America. I can understand it from a very undeveloped country for some reason or the other, from America. Now, your question is about trade being a zero-sum game. A mercantilist, there is only 100 rupees and I have 60, you have 40. Only one can win. Everyone's victory is the loss of the other person. But if you go by this specialization, division of labor, and the greater investment in R&D, innovation, productivity, diversification of goods and services, then you expand the pie. There are no winners and losers here. Everyone's a winner. So Ricardian game is expand the pie, become innovative. After all, how did your AI come? The value, the value of the enterprise of OpenAI, $300 billion. Last year, you know, it was $150 billion. Few months before that, $100 billion. Before that, nothing. DeepSeek of China makes a similar kind of software for $6 million. This is the Ricardian game. Become productive, become innovative, become creative. And that is how, with AI, the productivity leap is such. You and I are seeing it every day. You know, this is the way to expand the pie, make the pie bigger so that everyone's a winner, everyone is encouraged, and there is investment taking place all the time. And even if you lose some jobs, tax the robot and do a UBI for the worker who's lost his job. And he'll be very happy. He doesn't have to do anything. He'll get money and he'll watch movies and he'll holiday. He'll spend a lot of time with his family. His wife gets money. He gets money. Children also get some UBI. You know, it's all one big party. AI has taken your labor. Yeah, that's the way to go. Not a zero-sum game.
You know, we have been discussing about geoeconomics for some time, and I would like to highlight one more aspect of this entire tariff that's going on. That's the domestic side or the domestic economy of America. So as we were discussing that it could have been an insider trading, it could have been a shock to the American markets because it was all over the place that this is this pain has to be taken, the bitter medicine has to be taken for the future welfare or the better good. Let's say that this carries on. What impact would it really lead to the domestic economy of America?
If this carries on, $150 billion of exports to China.
Oh.
$450 billion of imports from China. And what are they? Your toys. And everything you look around your home, be it kitchen or the hall or whatever, all that you see is Chinese. Step out, all that you see is Chinese. The TikTok, 170 million Americans, that is also Chinese. So the point is, number one, it's going to be very inflationary. About $4,000 is the average increase, the burden on the budget of a household. That is the present estimates. So it's going to be inflationary. There'll be a drop in demand shock as it is, supply shock, demand shock, and then production will fall, unemployment, and then what you call stagflation. When you have recession and inflation coming together, recession created by inflation. Goods are costly, I can't buy, nobody makes them, production comes to a halt, guys are laid off. So inflation creates a recession. Together you call it stagflation, which is what they are expecting in America at this rate. And it's not that the critics of America are expecting it. The staunchest of supporters of America like JP Morgan Chase, 66% chance of recession today on the 80th day of Trump taking over. It's got long innings still to play out. And if this is what people are fearing, even his supporters are also fearing, so American economy is in a tailspin now. But then there is a side show here. Some of his supporters are so happy that all the fat cats of Wall Street are losing money. Where are they losing money? On social media, I have seen Trump introducing, here is my friend. When the market fell, he made $1 billion. Here is another friend of mine. When the market fell, he made $700 million. So market goes down, they make money go up. That is why the whiplash effects of the market. On any given day, it falls about 1,000 points, comes up about 1,000 points without making it too obvious. So Trump's friends are making money like no one ever had. And that the ordinary voter may know, may not know. He thinks the big cats, markets are falling. So the fat cats are losing money, serves them right. These are the people who created inequality. These are the people who have taken away our jobs. So Trump is treating them right.
The industrialists have been, like you said, non-Trump friends. Let me come here. They have been pushed to selling off because there have been so many reports of industrialists looking at selling off because of the so-called recession coming in. So recession is a big feared word. Everybody fears that word. America hitting recession.
The R word.
The R word, yeah. And America hitting recession would mean shocks across the world. What does that imply? Let's say America, again, recession comes in as predicted. What would be the impact on global trade?
America sneezes, the world catches cold. So American recession means, recession is what? Technical definition of recession is 2 consecutive quarters of contraction. 10 to 9, 10 to 9. So that is the recession. If America is in recession, there is no demand from America. Europe won't export to America. So Europe will also go into recession. There is a ripple effect here, the domino. And India, a lot of $190 billion to America, to and fro from America. Say about 80 there and 40 here, $120 billion of exports to America. Surely they'll take a hit. Not only the exports to America, since the whole world, the ripple effect, the domino effect, all of them will crash to an extent or a greater or lesser extent. So, like you had seen, it's not that it is, we haven't seen 2008, the global financial crisis made in America, that crisis took the whole world down. Our economic growth also suffered. Our exports suffered. Foreign direct investment suffered. Capital market flows, the FPIs, that suffered. Nobody lent us money because they had no faith in the economy for the, foreseeable future. So you suffer in multiple ways. Not only India, everyone suffers. So he is playing with fire, as you say. Yeah.
So, whatever we have been discussing till now about trade and tariffs and the impact on supply chains and how countries are reacting to it, all comes under the larger umbrella of geoeconomics. So, if you could just explain to our audience what exactly is geoeconomics and what role does it play in the larger international order?
Using economic tools for political power across the world. The Trump's tariff policy is a classical example. Earlier, I thought Chinese BRI is a classical example of geoeconomics. Stretch your exports everywhere in the world, and through exports, you control the governments and so on and so forth. Now, Trump's tariff policy, with this tariff policy, he is, reshaping the world he wants to. And he wants to tell the world that we are the boss and this, that. So geoeconomics, those looking for pristine examples of geoeconomics using economic tools. The other day you found an example, $300 billion Russia earned, blood, sweat and tears. Biden suddenly confiscated them in March 2022 because Russia went into Ukraine. That's also the geoeconomics, using economic tools to manifest political power. Yeah, that's my last line.
So, at this point of time, when geoeconomics is playing out, and a lot of countries are now saying that America has been using economic power, the economic might, as a hard power. For example, of course, traditionally putting sanctions, pushing Russia out of the SWIFT network, and now this. In this light, a lot of people are losing, faith in America's use of the economic power. Can America really pull this off as part of geoeconomics?
See, America using its economic might to dominate the world, perpetuate the domination, etc. You will see it in the one example we have seen: confiscation of Russian dollars, 300 billion, and they'll use it to rebuild Ukraine. One example. Another is dollar. Trump gave us a warning. BRICS, today it's BRICS plus and all that. If you contemplate creating a common currency unit,
put 100% tariff on it.
Think of the consequences. Yeah? Because depending on dollar is costing us heavily. Today we have $675 billion worth of forex reserves. That includes, of course, gold, you take it away, euro, all that, you take it away. Maybe out of 675, I think about, say, 350 to $400 billion of our forex will be dollar. They don't reveal, but, and that we put in government bonds of America. Trump doesn't like India if he confiscates all that. Yeah? So that was a currency shock point number one. What he did to Russia. And so people are de-dollarizing. That is, reliance on dollar is reducing because, number one, America is not reliable. That's been coming incrementally down. As of now, about maybe 2/3 of the global trade is denominated in dollar. And reserves are about 65%, 2/3 once again. Global reserves are in dollar. Now the point is, our Honorable PM went to Thailand for the BIMSTEC summit. And see his boldness, India is after all 4 trillion and we can stand our ground. He told the countries, let's have a common currency. Trump was too busy, he didn't see it. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So let's have a common currency because see, you are Sri Lanka, I am India, and you have a little dollar, I have a little dollar. So our trade is being limited if we are asking each other to pay in dollars. I'll pay you in rupee. Export to me. And you pay me in your local currency. You will export, I will export because the currency that you should be paying in is our own currency. You will work harder, you will produce more, there will be more trade, And today dollar is, yes, the dollar fell. The rupee appreciated, 86, but it went past 87. So you see this exchange rate risk by believing in dollar for your global transactions is costing us too dearly. American monetary policy, American rates are high, global capital goes to America and the rupee sinks. American rates are low, global capital comes to India and the rupee strengthens. This risk is unwarranted. So we are doing UPI, he is telling them also go for UPI, internationalize the rupee, and also let's start paying each other. We paid a lot of money for Russian oil in our own currency. Russia said, so much of money you're paying in our rupee, what will I do with the rupee? We said, okay, you import something from India, but there's so much of rupee with us. Invest in our bonds, they are lovely bonds. Invest in Reliance. So, our statesmen are highly, highly accomplished. So they are trying to de-dollarize. So the faith in American dollar was, Tina factor. There's no alternative. So where do I go? American dollar is not so stable and it's not so promising. It's getting eroded. Where do I go? Euro. 20 countries sharing one currency and they don't see eye to eye. Greece is there and Germany is there and Italy is there. So, not so much. If we are compelled to diversify, we'll diversify, but that's not our first choice. China. Trump is a rarity in America. The whole Chinese leadership is Trump-like. You see, unpredictable and then hegemonistic, etc. Japan, etc., not so much. So, you see, their monetary policy is hurting us and exchange rate risk and all that. So, de-dollarization and having less faith in dollar, I can still comprehend, but trying to diversify from American treasuries is something the whole world was shocked by. So America, the exceptionalism of America. America is an exception. No longer. You're selling American bond. You're selling dollar. Dollar is, depreciating. De-dollarization is picking up. But the Tina factor is still protecting American economic assets. But Trump is making sure that the erosion of exceptionalism will be relatively rapid unless he wields the stick. And the stick could be a gun here on.
So let me bring the oil prices, global oil prices. Because one of the statements that Donald Trump had said was the oil prices are falling. There is no impact on the oil prices, which is one of the indicators when we talk about the global economy. Why did it not go spiraling? Well, because of the tariff.
See, OPEC Plus announced will produce more. Whether they'll actually produce more or not, we don't know. Why will they produce more when the existing stock is not being sold because of the prospect of recession? Contraction of economy. What was the price of global crude when WHO declared the pandemic in, let's say, early 2020? It fell to 22. So now you see the crude around 56. After that, it might have gone up to 60, but it fell from 75, 80. It fell because no one can manipulate the market beyond a point. Why? Everyone is saying there is this recession coming. Even a child can make out this is, we are, in the zone that takes us only into recession, stagflation. And so who is going to buy our crude? So all the people who bought the futures contracts of crude sold them. So the price crashed. That is when Trump might have got the OPEC plus. His friend Russia is also there, our friend also. So yes, he got them to say we'll produce more crude. That's merely verbal. I don't think the market is so gullible. And crude is where it is, yeah.
Apart from that, he also said that interest rates have to be cut down by the US bank, the Federal Reserve. Only then we are not going to hit the recession. So he has been blaming everyone except himself. Do you think that if he continues and he puts the blame on the Federal Reserve Bank and says, cut the interest rate, recession can be avoided?
See, it is in a stagflation situation when $450 billion worth of Chinese goods are going to be shut out. They're going to cost 1.5 times. When inflation is going to shoot up, how can you cut the rate? You have to increase the rate. Point number one. If that's added up and you get stagflation, then the Fed can't do anything. It is Trump's government which has to create a lot of money and subsidize and so on and so forth, do the Keynesian trick. That is pump prime the economy. And for that he needs money. He thinks he'll get money from these tariffs. And tariffs for money is a highly outdated idea if it ever was there.
He keeps saying that he's going to get billions and billions of dollars back to America and get lots of jobs. So this brings us to the relation between the allies of America and America. So I want to go back to the Marshall Plan, after World War II. And I want to go back to the story of chicken war between Germany and US, when Germany was buying a lot of chickens from America. And suddenly, because of the domestic farmer union in Germany, they put tariff on chicken coming from America. And America retaliated and put tariffs on the Volkswagen that Germany was sending. After a few months and years, the calculation was made and they saw that the complete cutoff, decoupling had happened. There was no American chicken available in German food stores, and till date, you do not see German cars actually making an indent in the American economy. So this kind of a decoupling is something that a lot of American economists are saying is going to happen between Europe and America if the tariffs continue. So what would your opinion be on this?
See, as a result of the tariff, not just the tariffs, America is doing quite a bit to alienate West Europe. One, they are putting more faith into Russian policy towards Ukraine, and they're asking Europe, you do what you like about defending Ukraine. We are not interested. We are this side of the ocean. Europe feels that they've been abandoned. And Trump is asking them 5% of your GDP for defense, and they are okay with that. Then the 20% tariff on EU, they are not liking it. If that's not enough, Trump wants to take Greenland. Yes? And the Vice President of America goes to West Europe, tells West Europe, you have to be more open. Basically, he's saying all the AFD, Le Pen, these are the parties with which the present establishment of America has some affinity. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. But the existing parties, because AFD hasn't been in power yet and Le Pen has never come to power yet, officially ruling France. So the existing parties feel alienated, number one. Germany is into rearmament, number two. And they feel abandoned because NATO is not there. And not only that, NATO is not there, they are siding with Russia, which is the only possible enemy they see anywhere. So for all these reasons, Trump is alienating the best friends of his. Military allies is alienating, which is unthinkable if you had not tracked the news for the last 90 days.
That's true. It started with Canada. Mexico, everyone expected because of his previous term, but nobody expected him to come out and be so aggressively against Canada, calling it the 51st state of America. Then, of course, Europe. But one country who's all silent is Russia. Why and what do you think Russia's game plan would be in this light?
See, as of now, he is befriending the rapprochement with Russia. People are saying he likes to break Russia from China, which is impossible. That's ruled out, but that's the reason he's selling. Otherwise, he wants Russia because he wants a truce in Ukraine, for which Russia is critically necessary. That's point number one. Point number two is there's a theory that he likes dictators, but she is also a dictator. He doesn't like him. That's point number two. Point number three would be that Russia was helpful towards Trump to come to power in 2016, with all their email, this, that, etc., for the defeat of the lady, etc. So one doesn't see much more than this because Russia as of now, is critically necessary only for a solution in Ukraine, not for anything else.
That's true, sir. A lot of people are saying that this is going to benefit Russia, but at this point of time, there is, at least according to my calculation, there is no direct economic benefit coming in, other than just waiting for the US and its allies to kind of break apart or NATO to split. A lot of people are saying that's going to be the few aftermath of this.
You know, if I can add a comment here. See, for some reason or the other, Trump and his team, they think West Europe is outdated, spent, they have no future, and they are not worth being American allies. So he is abandoning them. And to make the anticipated decline of West Europe, he is maybe egging Putin also. I've left them to you, you do what you like, you got China on your side. 2 Chinese soldiers were caught by Ukraine fighting for Russia. So you do what you like with Europe. That could be one more reason why Europe is quite anxious now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So let's come down to China, and I would want to understand, because China, apart from retaliatory tariffs, have also said that they're going to take the matter to WTO. So what role can WTO play here as an organization, because it has been crippled under its own structure? A dispute settlement mechanism doesn't work. Things have been really stuck in this matter. But again, China has put faith in WTO to find a solution to it.
See, WTO, for all practical purposes, is in a limbo.
Yes, sir.
As you yourself put it, the judges are not there. The appellate tribunal doesn't work because the dispute settlement mechanism has been deliberately weakened. So you take them to WTO. If you irritate Trump a little more, he'll leave WTO. And America, it's very easy for him to leave WTO because he is not into multilateralism. He's a unilateral, bilateral person. He hates multilateralism because WTO never worked for America. Whatever WTO can do for America, it's already done. The charter is there, GATT is there. But beyond that, WTO is working against America, and for him, the judicial process is a nuisance. So it's effectively not functioning. So take it to WTO. That's purely a, nothing. There's no material weight to it.
So one of the questions, and one of the frequently asked questions, I would say, in my class and across my videos, is that are we entering into a Cold War? And if yes, is it going to be a repeat of the previous time?
The previous Cold War was an entirely historically unique phenomenon. Communism, capitalism, military alliances. These are the two factors that set them apart. Now, there was no interdependence those days. There was an Iron Curtain. Today, there is no curtain at all. The interdependence, every American company is there in China. China holds about $700 billion worth of US treasuries. China has a lot of holdings in American stock market and vice versa. Every American company is there in China. $450 billion this side, $150 from that side, and TikTok is operating $170 million. So there is certainly Cold War, because Cold War is nothing but intense competition for global domination without being there in the battlefield shooting at each other. That is Cold War. So America has the WB and the IMF. China has, via the BRICS of course, NDB and the Contingent Reserve Arrangement. And in addition, they have Asia Investment Infrastructure Bank also, of which we are the second largest equity holder. So on the currency front, they are a part of the IMF box of currencies for valuing the SDR. Yuan is competing. They are $20 trillion. America is about $36 trillion, and they are not far behind. By PPP, they are ahead of America. Purchasing power parity, they are ahead of America. So GDP, they are competing. Markets, they are competing. BRI versus America. And so you see, we are already into a Cold War. But this Cold War you see, is technology driven, trade driven, interdependency based. So intense competition for global domination is what unites this Cold War and the previous one. Otherwise, there are huge differences. Ideology and the Iron Curtain. These are the dividers.
That's true, sir. Even militarily, both of them are still not at the...
There are no alliances. There's no NATO versus Warsaw Pact.
Right, sir.
China has aircraft carriers and BRICS and SCO and so on and so forth. But militarily, China may not be a match point, number one. And the norm of the century is not military confrontation. It is militarization of space. With your DeepSeek, you can do a lot of damage. Quantum computing, you can do a lot of damage. So, gone are the days of military confrontation being a logical end of it. No.
So this brings me to the Kindleberger theory. Wherein and he was a big supporter of the hegemonic stability theory, and he said when the hegemon does not provide the public goods, there would be this kind of a chaos. So do you think, as per him, and then later on American theorists like Allison, who have worked on this matter, America is destabilizing its own hegemony by this tariff or the trade war?
See, certainly America is redefining herself now. There's no doubt about it. After this tariff policy of Trump, how it's going to unfold, nobody knows, but it will certainly not be business as usual, and a new era is opening up. And Trump is not someone who cares for the world. He cares for America, and via America, the world, and he doesn't think strategically. He's a transactionist and all that. So there is a vacuum. He's left the WHO. And if you push him a little bit, he'll leave the WTO. Because every time he leaves a multilateral body, his crowd in America will cheer him. And so now who is going to provide money? Who is going to provide the human capital? Who is going to provide the political support to the multilateral bodies? People are fearing IMF and the World Bank will be neglected because they are specialized agencies. So in this world of transition, when one superpower, the hegemon, is abdicating its hitherto exercised responsibility, and the other one is either not fully competent, nor fully, they're ready, but they are not trusted so much because they are not a democracy, they are a dictatorship, they're ideologically driven, and they are not yet there. Yuan, how much is yuan in the global reserve market? 4%. So no one is there yet. The hegemon is withdrawing. And there is no one to fill the vacuum. Now, India. India is $4 trillion. Global South leader. We are there in BRICS. We are multi-aligned. We are good with America. We are good with China, though we have hiccups with China. And we are improving our relation with China. So today, the public good provider having withdrawn, the vacuum to be filled, there is no one around, and that, go back to Kindleberger, could that be the occasion for another precipitation in the form of a military sort of turmoil? But military is not the norm. This is bad enough. This is bad enough. The war has erupted, yeah.
Because the way China has been, calling out to many countries, including India, saying it's time for elephant and the dragon to tango. And the way it's calling out to European countries definitely shows that the bad boy of geopolitics, that was China, has now become the good boy who's saying, come together, let's fight against the hegemon. There has been a reversal suddenly in the image of China because of the ongoing tariff war. In this light, sir, let's come down to India. And on one hand, you have China saying, retaliate. And on the other hand, Vietnam running to get a deal done. Where and how should India place itself?
Retaliation is, it doesn't suit us. We are not enemies with America. We have an excellent relation with America. They mainstreamed our nuclear energy. They're giving us nuclear reactors. They are supporting our UNSC permanent membership, and all sorts of frontier technologies we are cooperating. So retaliation is not an option. After all, they put us under 26. 10 is universal, 16 on top of 10. And we can talk our way out. After all, the demands are also not, their demands are data localization, intellectual property, evergreening of these medicines, and open up a little bit on the dairy sector and our corn you have to buy. These things can be negotiated, and they have all come to India, and our trade with America is 190 billion, dollar more than what we have with China. So everything put together, we can't take all these Chinese calls for unity seriously, because China is waiting in the wings to be the dominant player, and when China dominates, it dominates much harsher than what you have seen. And our response is negotiate, number one, come to a middle ground, number two, and then keep going with them for strategic and other reasons, number three. If he is not happy, if he is not actively into Quad, it's okay. Let Quad be there only for humanitarian, anti-piracy, disaster relief, etc. But yes, in the new world, America under Trump will be one of our best friends. Yes.
So, our External Affairs Minister has said that we will not be bullied into a deal. We will not, hasten the deal that is happening between India and US on the trade agreement. In this light, are we signaling to America that it will be on our terms and not because of the circumstances?
Our statesmen will educate Trump that transactionalism is okay, but seeing trade in isolation is not right. Overall relation has to be seen within that trade, and dairy and corn, etc. we can be spared. And if he wants us to buy more, we'll certainly buy more oil and gas, and we'll buy some defense equipment also. And so it should be quite, easy to convince him. He's in the heat of it now. That is why our Honorable Prime Minister went to him in Feb itself, sat with him, spent a lot of time with him, told him. For public consumption, they have to say a lot of things. He has to say a lot of things. We have to say a lot of things. But what actually turns out is we are not a big player in the American foreign trade. We are not a Canada or a Mexico or China or EU, which is 190. And so we should be able to settle it for mutual benefit. We've got time on our side, and we are talking furiously.
The entire team is working. Even our Minister Piyush Goyal had basically said that the entire Commerce Department is right now working towards having a good deal, beneficial for both the partners. So let me come down to another aspect out here, which is something that was debated in the Raisina dialogue about the need for Europe to de-risk or decouple from China. Now, because of the American tariffs, Europe is now stuck between the hard rock and the sea. What should Europe pursue at this point of time?
Right now, all of them had come to India.
That's
27 and the EU Commissioner. That shows the panic point, number one. Even the most skeptical of them did not expect the hit to be this hard, point number two. It's given on a platter to Russia, point number one. Greenland, one way or the other, will take it, number two. And we may come to the aid of Poland should the worst happen and Poland be attacked tomorrow after Ukraine. Article 5 of NATO may not matter to Trump. And the words he is using for EU are definitely not expected. So with all this, they are in a dizzy. And they are rearming, number one. UK and EU, they are working closer, though UK is not rejoining. The nuclear umbrella, France has a nuclear weapon and Britain has a weapon. Britain could be counted on the side of West Europe, not EU, but they are all together now. Germany may go for a nuclear weapon. Germany is breaking its debt ceiling limit to spend more, borrow more, spend more on defense particularly. So yes, Europe is China can withstand. How far Europe will withstand, point number one. Will better sense prevail, point number two. The tone of Musk doesn't suggest that Trump will be lenient towards EU, though Musk and Apple will bail out maybe China. So yes, Europe is in a very tough spot of after the coming of Trump.
So my question was because they all came to India and they are going to look at India as the alternative to China because of the de-risking. And what should, let's say, sir, you have to advise to the policymakers at this point of time, what should India do? 3 steps to actually take advantage of this chaos.
We have a lot of homework to do. For multinationals to come into the country, we have to first revise our bilateral investment treaty so that there is an arbitrator outside India where they can go to in case they have a problem within India in relation to the policy of the government, for example, Vodafone, Kane, etc. That can bring investment, point number 1. Point number 2, all the bureaucratic regulatory procedures also have to be relaxed so that they'll find the going good here, point number 2. The ease of doing business, like point number 2. Point number 3, we should tell them this is the time we should be united, but you also have to relax your CBAM, carbon border agreement, arrangement and all that you have to relax. And our pharma world is finding you sort of, objecting to our generic selling there based on data exclusivity. You can't do that. Data exclusivity, abandon it. CBAM, abandon it. Don't insist on your wines and spirits coming into the country, point number 3. So you have to be mutually accommodative. Then you please come here. We are 1.5 billion people. See the way our infrastructure is growing and we are all for you. You tell them and they should be there in India. If they agree to it, they should agree to it. Yeah.
I think one thing that we have to be very clear about is that there's of course chaos. There's of course a lot of panic. But amongst this whole chaos, there is an opportunity for India to, become the next or work towards the Viksit Bharat 2047 vision. And that is something that the leaders have to take cognizance of rather than panicking and looking at the impact. We should really look into this as well. So bringing us to the question then, are we heading towards de-globalization, going back to regionalization, or we are going to a different kind of a globalization?
Globalization was unlimited globalization, that you call hyper-globalization, free movement of goods and services and capital, companies, etc. That was there till 2008. After that, there was protectionism. We also picked up the cue from America. 2014, we had Make in India, and that also protected the Indian industry, Indian economy. And so globalization is redefined today, re-globalization, and China is not dependable. We have seen it, a zero COVID policy. They shut down the economy. We have also seen that China can be quite protectionist and supply chains are changing. So re-globalization in which there is nearshoring, friendshoring, onshoring, and plus protectionism is allowed. Trump does it, we can do it. Yeah. So re-globalization is more accommodative because the earlier hyper-globalization is what created inequality to a level where the rule of law is under pressure. Crony capitalism is there. So this level of inequality is a barrier to economic growth. Morality, social justice also is there, but economic growth has built-in barriers because of the level of inequality there is. Make luxury goods and your GST collections go up, your GDP goes up. Even if 90% of the people are languishing below the poverty line, above the poverty line, about the poverty line, you are still growing because 10% luxury goods are selling. So, this is a huge lesson for everyone that globalization at any rate is not right. Globalization with a human face. And so, our journey to Viksit Bharat should be on our own terms.
So let me come to the last question then, because like an interesting conversation going on. Sir, what would be the impact of this on the supply chains? Because creating resilient supply chains has been something that we have been working hard since the pandemic. The post-recovery, pandemic recovery was all about creating strong, diversified, resilient supply chains. And suddenly this comes, wham, what happens now?
A policy of such ramifications coming from an economy worth $36 trillion, has never been so underthought. Just take the tariffs, heightened tariffs on automobiles and auto parts. You are assembling auto parts in America. Auto parts are going from India, 26% tariff. Won't the cars be 26% costlier? So, Apple is there. In the last 10 years, Apple's market capitalization fell by about, say, a few hundreds of billions of dollars. Why? Apple makes the iPhones in China, brings the parts to India, assembles them, export from India. So if China is hit with 145% of tariff, it will be the first time in the history of mankind, evolution of mankind, apples will be bitter. Bitter apple, not the bitten apple.
True.
So supply chains will go haywire. Who will supply the raw material? Who will add value? How many points at which value is added? Who will assemble? And where it will be stored? Where it will be consumed? All that will go for a huge overhaul and certainly not to the benefit of the global economy.
With this, I hope all our listeners have understood that it's just not about a mere tariff game. It's not just mere a Cold War between US and China, because the entire global order is now in doldrums. I hope you have been able to understand the nitty-gritties as well as the complete picture of what's happening, what could be the impact. The story is still developing. We don't know what's going to happen or what the next step is going to be. It is unfolding, and yes, of course, if something new development as such happens, we'll come back with a new episode and discuss the same again. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. And thank you so much to the audience for joining us for this discussion. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.